Hello everyone, welcome to WebDev Warrior. In today's video, we're going to build an amazing product landing page from scratch. We're going to use Next.js 15, Tailwind CSS version 4, which is the latest release of Tailwind CSS, and also we are going to use TypeScript. In this project, we're going to implement the dark light functionality also. So first, let me show you a demo of this landing page. So if I reload the page, you can see we have animation in our application. Here we have a logo, then some nav links with hover effect, and then a beautiful button. Then we have the theme toggle button. So by clicking this, we can go to the light mode or dark mode. So we're going to show you the dark light mode a little later. So here we have some text, button, and an image. And here you can see we have this curve like background. Then if I start scrolling, here we have this feature section with scroll animation. Then we have this product about section with scroll animation. Then we have this client review slider where you can slide from left to right or right to left. Then we have this get in touch form, and finally we have this footer. Here we have a button. By clicking this, we will go to the top. So this is a scroll to top button, and initially it's hidden. When you start scrolling, it will appear to the screen. And now when you click here, it will go to the dark mode. As you can see, in the dark mode, our application looks amazing. We have the component that is fit in the dark mode. Another very important feature is the responsiveness, and our project is fully responsive in every device. So if I select a mobile devices, here we can see we have logo, the button, the theme switch, and then this menu. So if I click here, this will open our sidebar with our navigation menu. You can see how smooth it is, and it looks amazing. And if I start scrolling, you can see every section fit perfectly in the mobile devices. And if I show you other types of devices like iPad devices, you can see in iPad everything also fit perfectly with the screen side. So our landing page is fully responsive. So in this video, I am going to teach you everything step by step. I'm going to teach you how you can initialize a Next.js 15 project, including the Tailwind CSS and TypeScript. I'm going to show you how you can structure your file, how you can create reusable component, how you can create slider, how you can work with the third-party libraries, and finally, I'm going to show you how you can deploy your project in the live server. So there is a lot of things that you are going to learn from this tutorial. So I encourage you to watch the full video for better understanding. And the source code of this project and the starter file of this project will be given in the description. And if you have any question related to this project, you can ask me in the comment section. So without wasting any time, let's start building this amazing product landing page. Now we're going to set up our project. So first I'm going to create a new folder inside my PC, and I'm going to name it product landing page YT, and then I'm going to open this with Visual Studio Code, and in the Visual Studio Code I'm going to open a new terminal, and here we're going to install our Next.js. So in the terminal I'm going to use npx create next app at the rate latest, so that we can get the latest version of Next.js, and then I'm going to add a dot slash so that all the packages are installed in this product landing page YT folder. Now I'm going to hit enter. So it asked me, would you like to use TypeScript? Yes, we are going to use TypeScript, and we're going to use ESLint. We're going to use the Tailwind CSS. We do not need the source directory. We're going to use the app router, and the turbo pack is new in Next.js 15. So this is for the development purposes. So this will faster our development. So we're going to use this turbo pack, and we do not need to customize our input aliases. So we are going to use no. So now this will install all the necessary packages to initialize a Next.js project. So let's wait some time to complete the installation process. The installation is completed, and here we have all the folder and files that we need. Here if you notice, we don't have any Tailwind config file because in the latest version of Tailwind CSS, which is version 4, the configurations are all done inside the global CSS. That's why we don't have that Tailwind config file anymore. So here we have some files. The main directory or folder is this app. Here we have the favicon, the global CSS. So in the global CSS, all the configuration for the Tailwind CSS is done, and also if you need any extra code, you can write it here. So here we already have some code, so I'm going to delete everything because we are going to start from scratch, so we do not need this. And I'm going to hit save. Then we have this layout folder. So this is the main layout folder. So if you wrap anything inside this folder, for example, here we have the children. If you add a navbar and a footer here, this navbar and footer will be attached to all the pages that you are going to create in this project. So this wraps our overall project. And here you are going to configure your font as well as the metadata. So we are going to done all of this later. Let's explore the files here. Next we have this page.tsx. So when you run your project, the page that appear in the localhost 3000 is this page. So I'm going to remove all of this here and use a shortcut RAFC to create a component boilerplate, and I'm going to name it homepage. If you wonder how I can create this component boilerplate using the shortcut, so to do this you need to install a extension. The extension is called this ES7 React Redux and React Native Snippet. So to use this shortcut you need to install this extension. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some Tailwind class name to check if our Tailwind is working or not. So I'm going to use text 8xl and let's say text rate 950. So now I'm going to run our project using npm run dev, and then I'm going to open a browser and go to the localhost 3000. So here you can see we are in the localhost 3000 and we have our large text and the red color. That means our Tailwind is working properly. So I'm going to remove this class name because we do not need it. Then what I'm going to do is in the public, I'm going to create a folder called images. So we need some images for our project. So I'm going to copy the images in this images folder, and don't worry, these images will be given in the starter file, and the starter file is in the description. When you download the starter file, you will get the images also. Next we need some icon. So for the icon we are going to use a package called react icon. So if I go to their GitHub pages, you can see they have a lot of different types of icon that you can use here. And if you go to their npm packages, you can learn more about it. So now I am going to install these packages in our project so that we can use different types of icon in our project. So here I am going to split the terminal and then run this npm command to install the react icons. So this will install the react icons in our project. Next what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a component folder, and inside the folder we will have a helper folder to create our helper component, and then we will have a home folder to create component related to our home page. So in the home I'm going to create a home.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our page. So in the home page we'll add our home component, and in home component we are going to add our other home page related component like the hero section, the product about section, and all of this. That will make sure that our home page component is neat and clean. So we are going to use home component here, and we do not need the div here. So that's it. So this is our home. Next, we are going to configure our metadata in the layout, and also we are going to configure our font. So they give us some default fonts, but we are not going to use this. So I'm going to delete this, and here we are going to import Poppins. In this project, we are going to use the Poppins font. Then I'm going to create a constant font, and then I'm going to use Poppins, and here we need to pass some configurations. So first one is the font weight, and here we have 100. So basically I'm going to add all of this: 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, and 900. Then we need to pass the subsets, and the subset will be Latin. That's it. Then here we're going to remove this, and we're going to use font dot class name. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and if I inspect, and if I select our text, you can see it's a font 16 pixel Poppins. That means our font works properly. Next, we need to configure the metadata. The metadata is very important for the SEO purposes. So here for the title, I'm going to use product landing page, and let's here use product landing page using Next.js and Tailwind v4. That's it. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our metadata. So this one says product landing page. Awesome. So our font and metadata are configured successfully. So this is the basic setup for our project. Next, we are going to build the Navbar. So if I show you the deployed version, here you can see in the Navbar, we have a logo, some nav links, a button, and the theme switch button. So for this, I'm going to first create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it nav, and inside this we'll have a nav.tsx. So this one for the desktop size navigation bar. I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate. Then I'm going to create another one for mobile nav bar. So mobile nav.tsx. So this one for the sidebar in the mobile devices. So I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then another file called responsive nav.tsx. So this one for the functionality. So I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and here inside this we're going to add our nav as well as mobile nav bar, and then we're going to add this responsive nav in our layout. So in the layout, after before the children, we are going to add the navbar, so that all the pages that we are going to create in this project will have this navbar attached to it. So we are going to add our responsive navbar. That's it. Now if we go to our project, here you can see we have nav, mobile nav, and this home from our home component. Now let's go to the nav, and here the first div have a class name of transition all. So we are going to use a transition property, because in the deployed version, if you see, when I start scrolling, this navbar changes background color and have some shadow. So we want this to happen in smoothly. That's why we are using a transition property. Then the duration will be 200 millisecond, height will be 12 ph, z index will be 100, the positioning will be fixed, and width will be full. Now inside this div we'll have another div with class name of flex. Items will be center, height full, justify between. Then in smaller devices width will be 80%. Otherwise, in the mobile devices and extra small devices, the width will be 90%. Image will be auto. That's it. Then inside this div, we will have first the logo. So for the logo, we are just using a text of logo. If you want, you can use an actual logo image. So here we have a div with class name of text white, font bold, text to Excel, and smaller and larger screen, text will be 3XL. That's it. Now inside this we will have the text logo. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so if I reload the page, so we don't have anything. The logo is not seen because we have the text white property, and here the background is already white. But in the deployed version here you can see our background is the pink color, so that's why it's visible. For now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a background color here. So let's add a BG pink 700. Now if I hit save, and now you can see we have our text logo, so just like this one. So we're going to adjust the background later. Let's first implement this. Next we need the nav links. So for the nav links, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a constant folder inside my project at the root level. So constant, and here I'm going to create a constant.ts, and here I'm going to export a constant variable of nav links, which will be an array of object, and the object will contain an id of 1, then an URL. So if you want, you can use the actual URL to go to the different pages, but for now I'm going to use this hash, and the label will be home. So we have 6 of them, so I'm going to copy it 5 more times. Then this one will be id of 2, and the label will be about. Then we have a label of 3, and this one will be feature. Then this one will be id 4, and the label will be price. Then id will be 5, and the label will be testimonials, and this one will be id 6, and the label will be contact. By doing this, you can add new links here, you can remove links here, you can change the URL, you can change the label, and you can use one styling for all of this by mapping this. So this will make our code more optimized. Now let's go to our component and nav, and here after the logo we will have our nav links, and here we have a div with class name of hidden. So in the smaller devices this will be hidden, and in large screen this will be flex. Items will be center, and SpaceX will be 10. Now inside this div we are going to map through our nav links, and then we're going to map to get the individual nav link, individual link, and then we're going to return a link component from our next link. So let's import this, and in the link component the href will be link dot URL, the key will be link dot id, and then we have a class name of text white. In hover we have text green 300, and font will be semi bold. We are going to use a transition of all, and duration 200 milliseconds. Now inside this link we'll have a p tag with link dot label. And now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our nav links and we have the hover effect, but here we have green, not gray. So green 300. Now if I hit save and go to our project, now this looks nice. So just like our deployed version. Awesome. Next we have a button. So for the button we're going to use, so in the search bar let's search for Tailwind CSS buttons design, and here we have this website called devdojo.com. If I go to their website, here they have different types of pre-built buttons using Tailwind CSS that we can use here. So we're going to use this button for our buy now button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this from here. Then after the nav links tip, we will have our buttons, and here we will have a div with class name of flex item center, and SpaceX will be 4. Here we will have our buy now button, the theme toggle button, and the menu icon. So inside this, first we have our buy now button. So I am going to copy the design that we copy. So let's paste it here, and then we are going to change some of this. So let's replace this class with class name, and then replace this with this format, because in JSX we use this format. Next what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this button text, and the text will be buy now, and then we actually don't need this SVG, so let's remove the SVG from here. And then before the buy now we're going to use a icon here. So the icon we're going to use is FA shopping bag, and we're going to add a class name here. So margin right will be 3. If I hit save and let's go to our project, and here you can see we have our buy now button, so just like this one, but we need to change some of the styling here also. So first let's go here and make the icon a little bigger using the width of 5 and height of 5, and then change this indigo color with green. Now if I hit save, now you can see we have our green button, but it's little darker green. So let's go to our code and let's make it BG green 500. And now if I go to our project, and now it looks good. So just like this one. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to change this the padding and the margin, padding X and padding Y, sorry. So here the padding X we are going to use 5, and for the padding in the Y we are going to use 2.5. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so now you can see now it looks nice, just like this one. Awesome. Next we have the theme toggle switch. We are going to implement this later when we implement our dark light mode. So after this buy now button, we will have our theme switch button. For now, let's not add this here. We are going to add this when we implement our dark light functionality. Next, we will have the burger menu. So burger menu. Here we are going to use a icon called high bars 3 bottom right, and all of these icons are imported from the React icon that we install in our setup process. Now this icon will have a class name of width will be 8, height will be 8, cursor will be pointer, and then text white. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our menu icon, but the menu icon will be hidden in the large screen and this will be visible in the smaller screen. So what we are going to do is in the large screen this one will be hidden. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so let's hit save, and if I reload the page, so it's not hidden. Let's see what happened. So here we have a typo, so this one will be hidden. And if I go to our project, you can see the menu icon is hidden. We just have this logo, the nav link, and the button. Now if I inspect, you can see in the mobile devices we have the logo, the buy now button, and the menu icon, and we don't have our nav link. So our desktop navigation bar is completed. Next, let's build the mobile navigation bar. So let's go to our code. Let's go to the mobile nav.tss. Then inside the first div, we have a overlay. So I'm going to give a comment of overlay. So here we have a div with class name of fixed. Then we have inset of 0. We're going to use a transform transition all because we want a smooth transition for the slider. The duration will be 500 millisecond. Z index will be 1002. Background will be black. And opacity will be 70. Width will be full. And height will be screen. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our black overlay. Next, after this div, we will have our nav links. So here we have a div with class name of text white fixed, then justify center flex. Flex will be in the column direction. Height will be full. We're going to use transform transition all. Then duration will be 500 millisecond. Then we have a delay of 300 millisecond because first we want that the overlay will come to the screen, and then after 300 100 millisecond delay, the actual sidebar will appear to the screen. That's why we are using a delay of 300. Width will be 80%, and smaller and larger screen width will be 60%. BG will be pink 600, and space Y will be 6, and Z index will be 1050. Then inside this div, we are going to map through our nav links. So nav links, we are going to import it from the constant. Then we are going to map through it. We'll get the individual link, and then we are going to return a link from our next link. And here, first we need to use the key. The key will be link dot id, and then we have a href of link dot url, and now inside this we have a p tag with our actual text. So link dot label. Now the p tag will have a class name of text wide, width will be fit, text size will be large, which means that not large, extra large, 20 pixel. Then we have margin left will be 12, border bottom will be 1.5 pixel, padding bottom will be 1, border color will be white, and then in the smaller devices and larger screen text will be 30 pixel. Now if I hit save and let's go to our project. So here you can see we have our sidebar with home, about, features, testimonial, and contact. Next, what we need is, so if I show you the deployed version, so here we need a cross icon to close the navigation, the sidebar. So let's go to our code. So after the nav links, we have our close icon. Here we are going to use a React icon. So I'm going to use cg close from React icons, and this one will have a class name of absolute, then top 0.7 RAM, right will be 1.4 RAM, smaller devices width will be 8, smaller devices and larger screen height will be 8, otherwise width will be 6 and height will be 6. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we don't have the icon. Let's see why. So this one will be inside this. So after we map through it, we will have this close icon. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our close icon. Awesome. Here what we can do is we can use the cursor pointer. So cursor will be pointer. Now if I hit save, so now this is our mobile navigation bar. Next, we need to implement the functionality to close or open the navigation bar. So for this, let's go to the responsive nav, and here we need to use hooks here, the use state hooks. And here we need to keep one thing in mind, that is in Next.js every component by default is a server component, and in server component you cannot use hooks. So if I show you, so let's use a state variable for show nav and set show nav, and let's use a use state hooks, and initially this one will be false. Now if I hit save, and go to our project. Here you can see we have an error. We have an error that this React hooks only works in client component. To fix, mark the file with the use client directive. So we need to convert our component into a client component. So to do this, we need to use this use client directive at the top. That's it. Now if I go to our project, you can see the error is gone. Next, what we need to do is we need to create two functions, one for open the nav and another for close the nav. So I'm going to first create a handle nav open, and this one will be an arrow function which will set our show nav to true, and then another one of handle nav close which will set our show nav to false. Now we have to pass this function in our nav and mobile nav as a props. So in the nav we're going to pass our open nav props which will be our handle nav open, and in the mobile nav component we are going to pass the show nav which is our show nav state variable, and we are going to also pass the close nav which is the close nav handler or handle nav close function. That now we have to receive these props and give them the proper type definition because we are using the TypeScript. So first let's go to the nav.tsx, and here at the top I'm going to create a type for our props. So here we are receiving a open nav props which is a function, arrow function that returns void, means nothing. Now we need to pass this props here, props, and we are going to import the open nav. Now when we click on the burger menu here in the on click, we are going to run our open nav. That's it. Now let's go to the mobile nav, and here we are also receiving some props. So type props, here you can name it anything you want. You can name it mobile nav props or anything. So here we are receiving a show nav which is a type of boolean and a close nav which is a function that returns void. Now we are going to pass the props here, and we are going to import our close nav and show nav. Now when we click on the close icon in the on click, we are going to run our close nav function. That's it. And then based on the show nav, we are going to show the slider or hide the slider. So we are going to use dynamic styling here. So at the top here I am going to create a variable which is nav open, and based on the show nav, so if the show nav is true, we are going to show the sidebar. So we are going to use translate x of 0, that means we are going to show the sidebar. Otherwise we are going to use translate x of minus 100%, that means we are going to remove the sidebar from the script. That's it. Now we are going to add this in our overlay as well as our nav links. So to add a dynamic variable styling, we need to convert this into a template literal format. So we're going to use the template literal. Let's remove the double quote, and here we're going to use our nav open. We will do same for this nav link. So convert this into template literal, and remove the double quote, and here add the nav open. That's it. Now if I hit save, and let's go to our project, and now if I click here, you can see our navigation bar opens, our sidebar come to the screen very smoothly. And if I click here to the cross icon, it will close smoothly. So our functionality works properly. We can open and close our navigation bar. So now we have a functional Navbar. Awesome. So this is our desktop navigation bar, and then this is our mobile navigation bar. Next, we have one feature left, which is in the deployed version. When we start scrolling, you can see the navbar changes background color and we have some shadow. So to build this, first let's go to our home component, and here we're going to add some height. So let's add a height of 200 pixel, and another thing we're going to add here is overflow hidden, so we don't want any overflow in our project. So that's it. Now if you go to our project, you can see we have our height and our neighbor is fixed, and we don't have the shadow. So let's go to our code. Let's go to the nav.tsx, and here at the top, first we are going to convert this into a client component because we are going to use hooks here. Next, inside this component, I am going to create a state variable of navbg and set navbg, and we are going to use the use state, and initially this one will be false. So let's import this use state. So use state, then we're going to use effect hooks here, and then the dependency array, and inside this we're going to check. So we're going to create another function which is handler. This one will be an arrow function, and here we're going to check if window dot scroll in the y direction is greater than or equal 90. In that case, set the navbg to true, else set the navbg to false. That's it. This is our handler, and then we're going to use a window dot add event listener. So in the window we are adding a event listener of scroll, so listen for the scroll event, and we are going to run our handler. Then we are going to run a cleanup function. So we are going to return a arrow function. So return an arrow function, and we are going to use this, but instead of add event listener, we are going to use remove event listener. So we are removing the event listener in the cleanup function. So that's it. To remove event listener. Now, based on the navbg, we're going to add the background and shadow, otherwise nothing. So here the first div, we're going to convert this into a template literal format, and we're going to remove the double quote, and here we're going to check if navbg is true, then the background will be pink 700 and shadow will be medium, otherwise just the fixed property. That's it. Now if I go to our project, if I start scrolling, let's first reload the page, and if I start scrolling, you can see we have a shadow here, and when we implement the hero section, you will see it more properly. So what can I do now is, let's remove this default pink color. If I remove this and go to our project, now you can see we don't have any background color, but as soon as I start scrolling, we have our background color and shadow. Awesome. So let's bring back our background color. So now that looks nice. So these are desktop, and then this is our scroll feature, and we have our navigation sidebar, which works properly. So next, let's remove the hide from our home page. We will keep the overflow hidden. So let's remove this. So that's it. So this is a navbar. Our navbar is completed. Next, we are going to implement the dark light functionality. So to build this functionality, we are going to use the npm package, which is next theme, which will handle our theme state properly, and it will optimize our application. So here you can learn more about this package. You can see they have a highly weekly download. I'm going to copy this, then I'm going to paste it here to install the next theme in our project. Here, if you want, you can learn more about this theme. So we need a theme provider, then we need to use this. So first, let's go to our project, and in the home, and then in the component, I'm going to create a new folder called HOC, higher order component. And here I'm going to create a provider.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate. And here we'll receive children, which is a type of object, and the children is a type of React node. So here we're going to import the children. Next, here I'm going to remove the div, and we're going to use theme provider from our next themes. So we're going to import next theme provider from our next themes, and then we're going to use our children here. And then here we're going to use an attribute of class and enable system, and then the default theme will be the system theme. So the default one will be the theme that is selected by our system. That's it. Then go to your layout. So in the app, in the layout, we need to wrap everything using our provider. So let's import the provider and wrap it. So wrap our responsive nav and children. That's it. Next, go to the global.css, and previously we use our Tailwind config file to add the dark mode here, but in the version 4 we are going to configure everything in our global CSS. So for the manually dark light mode, here we are going to use @custom variant dark, then where dot dark and dot dark this. That's it. So if you go to the Tailwind CSS, if you search for Tailwind CSS dark mode, and then go to their website, so dark mode core concept, and here you will see they're toggling dark mode manually. We need to add this. So you can also copy it from here and then add it in our global.css. So that's it. Next, what we need to do is we need to create a theme toggle component. So let's use our helper here. In the helper, I'm going to create a theme toggle.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to mark it as a client component. Now here inside this, I'm going to first create a state variable. So const mounted and set mounted, and we're going to use useState, and initially this one will be false. Then we're going to get the theme, set theme, and system theme from our use theme hooks, which is given by this next themes package. Next, we are going to use a use effect hooks, and here we have an empty dependency array, and we're going to set our mounted to true. That's it. And then we're going to check if the component is not mounted, then we're going to return null. That's it. And then we're going to define our current theme. So we're going to use current theme. So we're going to use our theme if this is equal to system, then the system theme, and we're going to use our theme. That's it. That's how we are going to get the current theme. Next, here instead of the div, we are going to use a button, and the button will have a class name of padding to rounded full, and we're going to use transition. We do not need the rounded here, just padding to and transition. Now inside this button, we're going to check if the current theme is dark, then we're going to use a sun icon. So bi sun from React icon, and here we will have some class name, text of white, width will be 8, height will be 8, and cursor pointer. That's it. Otherwise, we are going to use a moon icon. So first let's copy it and replace this with bi moon. That's it. Now if I hit save, and then when we click on this button, so in the on click, we're going to run a function, and we're going to set our theme, and when we set, we're going to check if our current theme is equal to dark. If our current theme is dark, we are going to make it light. Otherwise, we are going to set our theme to dark. That's it. So this is our theme toggle. Now let's go to the navbar. So in the home, in the navbar, in the nav.tsx, and after this by now, here we're going to add our theme toggle button. That's it. Now if I hit save, and let's go to our project. So this is our project, So another thing we need to do is go to the layout, and here use this suppress hydration warning. Now hit save, and let's go to our project. Let's reload the page, and here you can see we already have the dark theme. That's because my system is for the dark mode. And the next theme, find out that our system theme is dark theme and it applies the dark mode here. But when I click here, you can see it goes to the light mode. And you can see how smooth it is to convert this website into a dark mode and light mode. So now we have our dark mode, light mode functionality. So our dark light mode functionality is completed. Next, we are going to build the hero section. So if I show you the hero section, here you can see we have an image, some text content, button, and this curved background. So to build this, I'm going to create a new file inside my home, and I'm going to name it hero.tsx. And I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in my home. So here we are going to use our hero component. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you will not see the text. So let's go to our hero, and here the first div have a class name of relative, width will be full, height will be full, height will be screen, flex, justify, center, flex will be in the column direction, background will be pink 800, and we're going to use a custom class which is bg flex. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and here you can see we have our background and we have this text hero. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this Navbar background color because it's a dummy one that we use. So go to the nav, and here let's remove this and hit save. Now you can see now it looks very nice. Next we need to make it this curved display, curved background like this one. So for this we are going to use the clip path. So let's go to our global.css, and here we are going to use our custom class. So first we're going to use layer components, and then inside this we're going to use a .bg clip, and then here we're going to use the clip path, and we're going to use polygon, so 50%, 0%, then we have 100%, 0, then we have 100%, 60%, then we have 100%, 83%, then we have 0 and 100%, then we have 0% and 60%, and then we have 0 and 0. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our curved background, which is amazing. So for the clip path you can use a website, and if you search for clip path generator, then go to this first link here. Here you can create clip path as you want. So you can create these types of shape or these types of shape, and then you just need to copy this code and paste it in the global.css. So this is a very helpful website that you can use to create custom clip path. So let's close this, also close this, we do not need the next step. So now we have a car background color. Next, let's go to the hero.tsx, and inside this div we have another div with class name of width will be 90%, in medium screen width will be 80%, image will be auto, items will be center, we're going to use grid calls will be 1, and in extra large grid calls will be 2, and gap will be 10. That's it. And here we will have a text content div, and we also have a image content div. So here this div is for the image content. Now first let's start with the text content. So if I show you the deployed version, for the text content we have this heading, a description, and 2 buttons. So first let's copy this heading from here. You can use any heading you want. So here inside this div we have heading. So let's use a h1 with the heading, and this h1 will have a class name of text3xl. In medium screen text will be 4xl, text color will be white. In large screen text will be 5xl, margin top 6, margin bottom will be 6, font will be bold, leading will be 2.5 rem, and in medium screen leading will be 3.5 rem. Now if I hit save and let's go to our project, so here you can see we have our heading. Awesome. So next we have this description. So I'm going to copy this from here. Let's add a comment here, a description. So here we will have a p tag with the description, and the description will have a class name of text extra small. Then we have in smaller and larger screen text will be small, and medium and large screen text will be base, font will be medium, and text color will be gray 300. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our description. Awesome. Next we have 2 buttons. So let's go to our project. So after the description we have buttons. So the div will have a class name of margin top 8, flex will be in the column direction, and small and large screen flex will be in the row, width will be feet. In smaller devices items will be center, space y will be 4, and smaller devices space y will be 0, and smaller devices space x will be 4. That's it. Now inside this div we will have our first button. So for the button we are going to use this Dave Jojo website. So let's reload the page. So here we are going to use this button. So let's copy it from here and then paste it. So the styling not copied. So let's click here to copy it and then paste it here. So here we need to change some of this. So make this class name, so class name, and then we need to make it this. So in JSX we use these types of convention. So use this field rule, camel case format, and also make this class name. And here for the first one, the text will be buy now. Hit save. And for the color, we are going to use blue color. So let's go to the top, and here instead of green, we're going to use blue. Also add a overflow hidden here. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have this buy now button. So just like this one. So here we have darker blue. So let's go to our code. Let's use BG Blue 600 here. Now if I hit save, now it looks good just like this one. Awesome. Next we have another button for the explore mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this button. So copy this and paste it underneath. So this is the second button, and here change this blue to green. Green, and let's use 400 here. Hit save, and then instead of the buy now we're going to use explore more. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have another button for explore more. So just like this one. So now we have these two buttons which looks amazing. Next we need the image. So this image. So let's go to our code, and this is our image content. And the first div will have a class name of mx auto, and this one will be hidden, and in extra large screen this will be blocked. So in the largest screen we are going to show the image, otherwise this will be hidden. And then after this, inside this div we are going to use the next image component to import the image from next image, and then the image will have a source of slash images slash hero.png and the alt tag of image. Then the width will be 380, height will be 380. Now if I hit save and let's go to our project, so here you can see we have our product image just like this one, and this looks awesome. And if I click here in the dark mode, the hero section doesn't change. And then if I inspect and if I select a mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices everything fit perfectly. We have the sidebar, dark mode, light mode, and we have this button also. So everything looks nice. Let's check in the iPad devices. So in the iPad it also fit perfectly. So our hero section is completed. Next we are going to build the feature section. So if I show you the feature section, here you can see we have some icon, some title, and some description. So to build this, I'm going to create a new file inside my home. and I'm going to name it features.tsx, and I'm going to use RAFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in my home. So after the hero, we'll have our features. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our text features. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare some static data for our features. So let's go to the features, and here I'm going to create a constant feature data, which will be an array of object, and the object will contain a title. So the first one will be touch to buy, and then we'll have a description, and I'm going to copy the description from our deployed version because it's just a dummy text. So let's copy it and then paste it here. Then after the description, we have an icon. So for the first one, we are going to use a MD outline touch app icon, and this icon will have a class name of width will be 12, height will be 12, text color will be pink 600, and MX will be auto. So this is our first one. Then I'm going to copy it. The second one, the title will be touch, not touch, secure data, and the icon here will be FA fingerprint. That's it. And I'm going to copy it again. The third one, the title will be instant chat, and the icon here will be high outline chat. That's it. I am keeping the description same. If you want, you can change the description as well. I'm going to copy it again. Next one will be live notification. So live notification, and the icon here will be MD notification icon. That's it. Then I'm going to copy it again. The next one will be the title Wi-Fi support, and the icon will be IO app outline, and the last one will have the title app watch, and the icon will be, so this one will be IO app outline, the last one, and this one will be IO Wi-Fi outline. So IO Wi-Fi outline. That's it. So this is our static data that we are going to use for our features. If you want, you can change the title, description, and icon according to you. Then the first div have a class name of padding top of 16, and then we have padding bottom of 16. Now inside this div, we have another div with class name of width will be 80%, MX auto, grid calls will be 1, and smaller and large screen grid calls will be 2, and in large screen grid calls will be 3, and we have a gap of 10. Now inside this div, we are going to map through our feature data. So feature data dot map we will get the feature, individual feature, as well as the index, and we're going to return a div, and this div we need to pass the key here. So the key will be index, and we also have some class name of text center and mx of auto. That's it. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of mx of auto, text of center, and inside this div we will have our feature dot icon. So let's add a comment here, icon. Then we have the title. So here we are going to use a h1 for our feature dot title, and this h1 will have a class name of margin top of 4, text will be large, font semi bold, text color will be gray 900, and margin top will be 4. Sorry, we already have the margin top of 4, and in the dark mode the text color here will be white. That's it. After the h1 we will have our description. So I'm going to use a p tag with our feature dot description, and this p tag will have a class name of text small, text will be gray 600, then in the dark mode the text will be gray 300, margin top will be 4. Now if I hit save and go to our project, let's go to our project. So here you can see we have our feature list. We have the icon, we have the title, and some description. Awesome. So let's check in the dark mode. So in the dark mode you can see it also looks amazing. So now if I inspect and show you the responsiveness, so if I select the mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices it fit perfectly. And let's check on the iPad devices. In iPad it also fit perfectly. So our feature section is completed. Next we are going to build the about section. So if I show you the about section, here you can see we have an image, a title, and some list item of the features. And here we have a button, learn more. And the next section is similar to this one, but this time the order are changed. So first we have the image, and then we have the text content, and we have different title and a different link text. So what we are going to do is we are going to create one about component, and then we are going to reuse it. So for that, first I am going to create a new file inside my home. So here I am going to create a about.tsx. I'm going to use RAFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in my home. So after the feature, I'm going to use home, not home, about. So after the feature, we will have our about component. Now if I go to our project, and here you can see we have the text about. So now go to the about.tsx, and here we are going to receive some props. So I'm going to create a type props, and we will receive an image order, which is a type of string. Then we will receive a text order, which is a type of string. Then we are going to receive a title, which is a type of string, and a link text, which is a type of string. Now I'm going to add this here, the props, and then we're going to import the image order, link text, text order, and title. Now the first div have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16. Then inside this div we will have another div with class name of width will be 80%, mx will be auto, grid. Then we have items of center, grid calls will be 1, in a large screen grid calls will be 2, and gap will be 12. That's it. Now inside this div we will have the first content. It can be image or it can be text based on the props we give here. So we have a div, and this div will have a class name of, here we are going to use a template literal so that we can attach our text order. Then inside this div we have a h1, so this is the text content. It can be first order or it can be second order. Then inside this we have h1 with the title, and this h1 will have a class name of text to excel. In smaller devices text will be 3xl, in medium screen text will be 4xl, and in larger screen text will be 5xl. In extra large text will be 6xl. Then font will be bold. Let's add a comment here like the title. Now if I hit save and let's go to our home, and we need to pass the props here. So for the first about we will have a text order of, in large screen the order will be 1, otherwise we want the default ordering. Then the image order will be, in a large screen order 2. Then the link text will be learn more, and then the title for the first one I'm going to copy it from our deployed one. So this is the first title, so copy this and paste it here. This is our first about, and then I'm going to copy it again, and for the second one the text order is 2 and the image order is 1. The link text will be shop now, and the title, let's copy it from here. So this is the title, so copy this and paste it here. Now if I hit save, let's go to our about, and now if I show you our project, here you can see we have our two titles, but they are not properly formatted yet. So let's continue building the project. So after the h1 we have a div, so this is the list. So this div will have a class name of margin top of 8. Then inside this div we will have another div with class name of flex, item center, margin bottom will be 6, and SpaceX will be 4. Now inside this we have another div with class name of width will be 6, height will be 6, flex, items will be center, justify center, flex will be in the column direction, rounded full, and background will be pink 600 and text color white. That's it. Now inside this div we'll have an icon, so we're going to use effect check icon from React icon. That's it. Then after this div we'll have a p tag with the class name of text smaller devices. Text will be base, text color will be gray 600, and in the dark mode the text will be gray 300. That's it. And here I'm going to copy the text. So here you can see we have this icon, the checklist. So I'm going to copy the text from here. So copy this and paste it here, and then I'm going to copy this div 3 more times, and then go to the deployed one. This is the second list item, so I'm going to paste it here. Let's copy the third one, and finally the last one. That's it. Now if I hit save, now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our list. So they are, the both are in the same site, but when we add our image and they are ordered, then we have the actual layout like this one. So let's go to our project. So after this div we have our link, and here I'm going to use a p tag. If you want you can use the link tag. So here we will have link text, and this p tag will have a class name of font semi bold, then text will be pink 600, cursor will be pointer, and in hover we'll have underline, and width will be fit. That's it. And then after this text content, so this is the text content div. So after that we'll have our image content, and here we will have another div, and we have a class name of use the template literal, and here we will have the image order. And then inside this we're going to use an image component from our next image, and here we will have our source slash images slash h1.png, the alt, let's say image, the width will be 380 and the height will be 380. Now if I hit save and if I go to our project, so now you can see we have two component where the text here is in the left side and image in the right side, and here we first have the image and then we have the text content, and we have the different title and different link text. Awesome. So just like this one. So now let's check in the dark mode. So if I click here, so you can see in the dark mode it also looks fine. Now let me show you the responsiveness. So if I inspect and if I select mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices everything fit perfectly. And if I show you the iPad devices, in iPad it also fit perfectly. So our about section is completed. Next we are going to build the client review section. So if I show you the client review section, so here we have a slider with the client information and the review text. So to build this, first I'm going to create a new folder inside my home, and I'm going to name it review. And inside this, I'm going to create a file called review.tsx. And then I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate. And then I'm going to add this in my home. So after the about, we will have our review component. And that's it. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have a text review. Then the first div here will have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16. Then inside this div we will have a h1 with the text 10k plus customers trust us. This h1 will have a class name of text to excel. In smaller and larger screen, text will be 3XL. Text center, text color will be gray 800, and in dark mode text will be white, font will be bold. And if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our title, so just like this one. So let's copy the text from here and let's use it here. So here it will give us a ESLint error, and we can quickly fix it with replace this code with this code. Now if I hit save, and now if I go to our project, now you can see it looks nice, but I think we can use text green 900. Now it looks okay. So after this h1 we have another span with class name of width 16, height 1, bg will be pink 600, mx will be auto, and margin top will be 3. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so we don't have anything. Let's make this a block element. Now if I hit save, now you can see we have this underline, so just like this one. Next, after the span we have another div with class name of width will be 90%. In smaller devices width will be 80%. In a larger screen width will be 60%. Mx will be auto, and margin top will be 16. Now inside this we are going to create a separate component for our slider. In the review folder I am going to create a review slider component, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add it here. So here we will have the slider. So let's add here the slider review slider. That's it. Now if I go to our project, and you can see we have the text review slider. Now let's go to the review slider, and now for the slider we are going to use an npm package, and the npm package is React multi-carousel. It is a very popular library to creating the slider. If I go to their npm package, there you can learn more about it by reading their documentation. So first I'm going to install the package. So copy this and paste it here for the installation, and also mark this component as a use client. That's it. Next we need to import this carousel and the styling as well as this responsive variable. So copy this and paste it here. So the carousel, the styling and the responsive. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. Here you can see they have a lot of configuration option that you can use. So I'm going to copy all of this and then paste it here. Now here we are going to change some of this. Here we do not need the sweepable, draggable and show dots. We need the responsiveness. We don't need the SSR. The infinite will true, autoplay will be true, and autoplay speed will be 4000 milliseconds, that means 4 seconds, and keyboard control will be true, otherwise we do not need anything. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we already have our slider working. Awesome. Next, what I am going to do is I am going to change some of this parameter in our responsive. So here the items will be 1 and one item will be slide. And for the tablet it will be 1 and slides to slide will be 1. For the mobile, items 1, slides to slide will be 1. Now hit save. That's it. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate component for this card, review card. So let's go to our project, and here in the review folder I'm going to create a review card.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate and hit save. Now in the review slider, here I'm going to use review card. So we have 3 review card, and we are going to add some of the props here. So first one is the image. For the first one we have slash images slash c1 dot png. The alt will be not the alt, we do not need the alt here, we need the name. First one is John Doe, and let's say the role will be founder codex. Let's copy it 2 more time. The second one will be c2.png, third one will be c3. Let's make it Jason Doe, and this one as Jane Doe. Let's say founder of TechBox, and let's say for this one co-founder of DevX. That's it. Now we have to receive these props and give them the proper type. So let's go to the product card, and here at the top we're going to use type props, and we're receiving an image of string, then the name of string and role of string. Now we're going to pass it here as a props, and we're going to import the image, the name and the role. Now inside this div we first have a code icon, so we're going to use bs code from react icon, and here we have a class name of width 40, height 14 and text ping 500. Now hit save, and then we have a p tag with our actual review text. So I'm going to generate some random text using lorem ipsum generator. To generate random text you need to install a extension, and the extension is this one, lorem ipsum generator. By installing this you can create random text, and this p tag will have a class name of text center. Then we have text gray of 800, in the dark mode text gray 200, text will be small. That's it. Then after this p tag, we'll have another div with class name of margin top of 6, and inside this div we'll have an image component from next image. The image will have a source. The source will be the image we receive as a props. The alt, let's say image. Then the width will be 100, height will be 100, and we have some class name of object cover. Then we have mx of auto and rounded full. Let's hit save. Then after the image we'll have an h1 with name and another h1 for row. The first h1 will have a class name of text large, font bold, and text will be center, margin top will be 4. For the second h1 we'll have a class name of text center, text gray 500, and if I hit save and let's go to our project, and here you can see we have our client review. So just like this one, let's add some of the more text. So let's add 10 more. So now it looks good just like this one, and we can slide from left to right or right to left. Let's check on the dark mode. In the dark mode it also looks very nice. And now let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect and let's select mobile devices, you can see in mobile devices it fits perfectly. And let's check on the iPad. In the iPad it also fits perfectly. So our client review section is completed. Next we are going to build the contact us section. So if I show you the contact us section, here you can see we have some section heading, a subheading, and some input and a button. So to build this, I'm going to create a new file inside my home, and I'm going to name it contact.tsx, not ts, tsx. And here I'm going to use RAFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in my home. So after the review we will have our contact section. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have the text contact. Now let's go to the contact.tsx, and the first div have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16. Then inside this div we will have a h1 with the text get in touch, and then we have a span, and this h1 will have a class name of text to excel. In smaller devices text will be 3xl. Then we have text center, text to gray 800, and in the dark mode the text will be white and font bold. That's it. And then in the span we have a class name of block, width will be 16, height will be 1, background will be pink 600, mx will be auto, and margin top will be 3. Now if I hit save and go to our project, and here you can see we have the get in touch and this underline. So just like this one. Then after this span, we have a p tag with some random text. So I'm going to copy the random text from our deployed version. So copy this and then go to our code and paste it here. This p tag will have a class name of text center. Text will be small. In smaller devices, text will be base. Text color will be gray 700. And in the dark mode, text will be gray 200. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have our subheading, but that doesn't look good. So here we have a margin top of 4. That's it. Now I'm going to copy it again and we're going to add this in the second p tag. Now if I hit save and let's remove this margin top of 4. Now if I go to our project, now you can see we have our subheading, or you can say the description, which looks like this one. Awesome. Next we have this inputs. So let's go to our project. So after this p tag, we have a div with class name of width will be 90%. In smaller devices, width will be 80%. In large screen, width will be 60%. Image will be auto. We're going to use grid. Grid calls will be 1. In large screen, grid calls will be 2. Gap will be 6. Items will be center. And margin top will be 16. Now let's hit save. And inside this div, we first have another div with class name of height full, and inside this div we have an input with type text. The placeholder will be name. Then we have a class name of width full block. Text will be black. BG will be gray 200. Shadow will be MD. Shadow MD. Then we have outline of none. PX will be 6. PY will be 3.5. Rounded MD, and margin bottom will be 4. That's it. Margin bottom will be 4. Now I'm going to copy this input 2 more time, and the second one will be for email. So type will be email. Placeholder will be email, and the third one will be a type text, and placeholder will be subject. And here we don't need the margin bottom, so let's remove it from here. Now if I hit save and go to our project, there you can see we have our name, email and subject. Next we need the messages text area. So let's go to our project. So after this div, we have another div with class name of height full, and inside this div we have a text area, and we don't need the name and ID. Here the placeholder will be message, and we have the same class name, so I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and we're going to add a height of full and a margin bottom of 4. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our message box and the other inputs, which looks awesome. So next we have this send messages button. So let's go to our project. So after this div and completing this div, we are going to have a button, and inside this button we will have a FA paper plane, and the size will be 18, and then the text send message, and this button will have a class name of margin top of 8, flex item center, gap to, BG will be pink 800, text white, px will be 6, py will be 4, rounded md, shadow will be md, in hover bg will be pink 900, and transition and mx will be auto. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here we have this send message. Let's add a cursor pointer here. So cursor pointer. Now if I hit save, so now we have the pointer and we have our get in touch. Now let's see, it's exactly like this one. Let's check our context section in the dark mode. So if I click here, so this is in the dark mode, which is exactly like this one, and it looks awesome. Let's check the responsiveness. So if I inspect and let's select a mobile devices, and in the mobile devices you can see everything fit perfectly, and in the iPad devices it also fit perfectly. So our contact section is completed. Next we are going to build the footer section. So if I show you the footer section, here you can see we have 4 parts. So here we have logo, some text and social icon, then we have this footer link and the bottom part. So to build this, first I'm going to create a new file inside my home, and I'm going to name this footer.tsx, footer.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in our layout. So in the layout, after the children, we are going to add our footer. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have the text footer. Now let's go to our footer.tsx, and here the first div have a class name of padding top of 16, padding bottom of 16. Now inside this div we will have another div with class name of width will be 80%, mx will be auto, items will be start, grid calls will be 1, smaller devices, grid calls will be 2, we are going to use grid, in medium screen, grid calls will be 2, in larger screen, grid calls will be 4, and gap will be 10. Now inside this div, first we have the first part. Here we have a div And inside this div we have another div with class name of text white, font bold, and text 3XL. And here we will have the text logo. Then after this div we will have a p tag with class name of margin top of 5, font will be semi bold, text will be gray 300, and text will be small. And here we are going to add some random text using the lorem ipsum generator. So I'm going to generate 15 word. That's it. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our text, our logo. So here we are missing the background color. So the background will be gray 950. Now if I hit save and go to our project, now you can see it looks nice. So next we have the social links. So after the p tag we have the social links, and here first we have a div with class name of flex, items will be center, text white, space x will be 4, and margin top will be 6. And inside this div we have another div with class name of width will be 8, height will be 8, bg will be blue 700. Then we have flex, items will be center, justify center, flex will be in the column direction, and rounded full. That's it. Now inside this div we will have a icon which is FA Facebook, F. That's it. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our Facebook icon. So now I'm going to copy it again, and the second one is for the Twitter. So FA Twitter, and here we're going to change the background color to BG sky blue 500. So BG sky 500. Then I'm going to copy it again. The third one will be for the drivel. So FA drivel, and the background will be BG pink 700. That's it. And the last one is for the YouTube. So FA YouTube, and here the background will be BG rose 700. That's it. Now if I go to our project, here you can see we have our icon. So just like this one. Awesome. Next we have our second part. So this is our first part. Let's add a comment of second part, and here we have another div with class name of space y 5, and inside this div we first have h1 with the text company, and this h1 will have a class name of text large, text white, and font bold. Then we have a p tag with the text about us, and this p tag will have a class name of text gray 300, in hover text gray 400, font will be medium, cursor pointer, and text will be small. It's safe. And then we have 4 more, so I'm going to paste it 4 more time. And the second one is services. Then we have our customer. Then we have portfolio, and finally blocks. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our footer links, about us, services, customer, portfolio, and blocks. Then we have this support links, which is similar to this one. So I'm going to copy this. So let's copy the second part, and here let's change it to third part, and the H1 will be support, and then the first p tag will be legal information. Then we have terms and condition. Then we have report abuse. Then we have privacy policy, and we don't need the last one. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so this is our support portal links. Next we have this get in touch section. So let's go to our project. So now we have the fourth part, and here we first have a div, and inside this div we have a h1, and this h1 will be similar to this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and here the text will be get in touch. Then after this h1 we will have a div with class name of margin top of 6, and inside this div we have a h1 with the text our mobile number. Then we have another h1 with the actual mobile number. Here I am going to use a dummy mobile number, and this first h1 will have a class name of text small, text white, and then here we have a class name of text base, font bold, and text will be white, margin top will be 1. It's save, and we have another one, so I'm going to copy this underneath, and this one will be our address, and here let's use the address. That's it. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our get in touch section, so just like this one. Next we have the bottom part. So let's go to our code. So this is our top part, and then we have our bottom part. Here we have a div with class name of margin top of 8, width will be 80%, mx will be auto, border top will be, so we will have a border top, padding top of 8, flex will be in the column direction, In medium screen, flex will be in the row direction, justify will be between, items will be center, text will be gray 600, text small. Now inside this div, we have a p tag with class name of text center. In medium screen, text will be left. And here we will have our copyright text. So I'm going to copy this from here. And here you can see we have this bottom border, just like this one. So let's copy the text here. And then after the p tag, we'll have another div with class name of flex. Items will be center. SpaceX will be 4. Margin top will be 4. And in medium screen, margin top will be 0. And inside this div, we have a span with the text social. And then we have another span with class name of text gray 500. In hover, we have text gray 800. And inside this, we will have a icon which is FA Facebook. And I'm going to copy it 2 more times. And the second one is FA Twitter. And the third one is FA Dribble. Now if I hit save and go to our project, so here you can see we have our copyright text and our social icon. Awesome. Now in the dark mode it doesn't change and it looks awesome. And if I show you the responsiveness, so if I inspect and in the mobile devices, you can see everything fit perfectly here. And let's see in the iPad devices, it also fit perfectly. So our footer section is completed. Next, we are going to build the scroll to top functionality. So if I show you in the deployed version, here you can see we have a button. By clicking this button, we are going to go to the top smoothly. And initially this is hidden, but when we start scrolling, it will appear to the screen. And by clicking this, we will go to the top smoothly. So now we are going to implement this feature. So to implement this, I'm going to create a new file inside my helper. And I'm going to name it scroll to top.tsx, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and then I'm going to add this in my layout. So in the layout, after the footer, we're going to add our scroll to top component so that all the pages will have access to this functionality. Now let's go to the scroll to top, and here I'm going to convert this into a client component using useClient. And here first I'm going to create a state variable of is visible and set is visible, and we're going to use state, and initially this one will be false. So initially this will be hidden, and when you start scrolling this will appear to the screen. So I'm going to use a use effect hooks here, and the dependency array will be empty, and here I'm going to create a function called toggle visibility, and this one will be an arrow function. And here we're going to check if window dot scroll in the y is greater than 300, then we're going to set our is visible to true. Otherwise, we'll set our is visible to false. That's it. Now in the window, we're going to add an event listener, and we're going to listen for the scroll event, and we're going to run our toggle visibility. Then we're going to create a cleanup function for the remove event listener. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here and change this to remove event listener. That's it. So this is the functionality for show and hide our button, our scroll to top button. Then I am going to create a function called scroll to top. This function will be responsible for go to the top smoothly. So this one will be an arrow function, and here we're going to add a window dot scroll to, and we're going to scroll to top. So top will be 0, and the behavior we want here is smooth. That's it. Then here the first div will have a class name of fixed, bottom will be 4, animate will be false, then right will be 4, and we're also going to add a cursor pointer. Now inside this div, we are going to check if is visible is true. In that case, we are going to show a button, and the button will have a class name of bgping600, text will be white, rounded full, width will be 12, height will be 12, flex, items will be center, justify center, and in the focus, outline will be none. That's it. And when we click on the button, we'll run our scroll to top function, and inside this button we will have a arrow icon. So fa arrow up from react icon. That's it. So this is our scroll to top. Now let's go to our project, and here you can see we already have this button. So if I click here, it will go to the top, and initially it's hidden, but when you start scrolling, it will appear to the screen. So here I think the cursor pointer will be inside this button. So now if I hit save, now we have this cursor pointer, and we have the smooth behavior. So when we click here, it will go to the top smoothly, and initially it's hidden, but when it starts scrolling, it will appear to the screen. So our scroll to top functionality is completed. Now we are going to add some scroll animation to make our website more attractive. So in the deployed version, if I reload the page, you can see we have animation in the scroll. So now we are going to implement the animation to our website. So first I am going to open my home.tsx. Here we are going to configure our animation functionality. So for the animation, we are going to use a npm package which is AOS, animation on scroll. This is a very popular npm package to add scroll animation, and it is very easy to implement scroll animation in our project. If I go to their GitHub page, you can see they have lot of different types of animation: fade left, fade up left, then they have the flip functionality, zoom, then they have the different settings, and the best thing is you just need to add this data AOS property to your div, and it will handle everything. It will add the animation when you scroll to this div, which is awesome. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open their GitHub page, and here they have the details documentation if you want to learn more. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install this package. So I'm going to copy this npm script, and then I'm going to paste it here, and then I'm going to convert my home into a client component using the use client. Next, what we need to do is we need to import this AOS and this AOS CSS. So I'm going to paste it here, and then we can initialize using these different types of options and settings. If you want, you can learn more about it. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my home, and here I'm going to use effect. So use effect hooks, and then inside this I'm going to create a function called init AOS, which will be an async function, and then inside this we're going to await import AOS, and then we're going to use AOS dot init. So here, if you hover here, you can see we need to install the type also. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here to install the corresponding type. Now here, what we're going to do is we're going to use AOS dot init, and we're going to pass some of the configuration. First one is the duration. The duration will be 1000 millisecond, means 1 second. The easing will be ease. Then we're going to use once true, and finally the anchor placement will be top bottom. That's it. And then we're going to call our init AOS here. That's it. And don't forget to add the empty dependency array here. So this is our configuration for the AOS animation. Next we are going to add the animation. So first I'm going to add the animation in our hero. So let's go to the hero section, and at the top in the text content div I'm going to add a data-aos, and I'm going to add a fade up. Then I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to add another animation in our image. So here I'm going to add a zoom in, and also I'm going to add a delay property. So data-aos-delay, and we're going to add a 150 millisecond of delay. So here we want the text content will appear to the screen first, and then after 150 milliseconds later the image will appear to the screen. Now let's save and go to our project. So let's cut it from here, and here if I reload the page, here you can see we have our animation. First the text content appeared to the screen, and then the image, and it looks very nice. Next we are going to add the animation to our feature section. So let's go to our, so first I'm going to copy these two lines, then I'm going to open our features, and here in this tip I'm going to add this data-aos and data-aos delay, and another one I'm going to use data-aos-anchor placement. So we are going to change the anchor placement here, and we're going to use top center here, top center, and the animation we are going to use is fade up, and for the delay we are going to use index into 100. That means for the first element the index is 0 and the delay will be 0. For the second element, the index will be 1, the delay will be 100 milliseconds. So now if I hit save and go to our project, if I reload the page, we have our initial animation. If I start scrolling, you can see we have our feature section animation, which is awesome. Next, we are going to add animation to our about section, and here we are just going to add the animation to the image. So let's go here, and I'm going to copy this 3 line from here, and then I'm going to open my about, and in the image we're going to add the animation, and we're going to add a zoom in animation. And here we do not need any delay, but we will keep the anchor placement. If I go to our project, if I reload the page, here you can see we have our animation, our feature section animation, and then we have this about section animation. Awesome. So we add all our animation. So let me show you the animation in the dark mode also. If I reload the page, we have the initial animation, then we have this feature section animation, then we have this about animation. So everything looks amazing. And now our website has some scroll animation which will attract our users more and make our website more premium. So our animation is completed. Finally, our website is completed. Now what we're going to do is we're going to deploy our project in the live server. So we are going to use Vercel for our deployment. Before that, we need to push our project in GitHub. So first, I'm going to open my GitHub account, and here I'm going to create a new repository, and I'm going to name it product YT, and I'm going to make it a private repository and click here to create repository. Next, I'm going to open my VS Code and stop the application from running, and I'm going to delete one of these. And here first I'm going to use git init, then git add dot, then git commit, and a message like first commit. Then we need to add this git branch m, so copy and paste it here. Then we need to add this remote origin, so copy this and paste it here, and then we're going to push our project, so copy this and paste it here. So this will push our project in GitHub. So it's completed. Now if I go to our GitHub and reload the page, you can see we have our project here. We have the app, we have component, constant, public, and all of this. Next, I'm going to open my Vercel. If you don't have any Vercel account, you can create one for free. So in the Vercel dashboard, I'm going to click here to add a new, and then I'm going to click here to add new project. And here I already connected my GitHub, and this is the one we need, the product YT. So I'm going to import this, and I'm going to click here to deploy. The deployment started. Let's wait some time to complete the deployment. Our deployment is completed. Now click here to continue to dashboard. And here now we have a link that we can share. So if I click here, it will open our landing page in the live server. Here we already in the dark mode because our system is in the dark mode. And if I reload the page, you can see we still have the animation, and we have the animation, scroll animation, and every section looks amazing. We have this scroll to top. We can switch between dark mode and light mode. In the light mode, it also looks amazing. And let's check the responsiveness again. So if I inspect and let's select mobile devices, we have all our functionality working here. We have the sidebar, dark light mode, and every section fit perfectly. So now you have a link that you can share with others. You can add this to your resume. You can show this to your potential client, and show your expertise in this field. And you can also add other features in this project to make it more stand out. So finally, our landing page is completed. If you have any question related to this project, you can ask me in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel for more interesting web development content. So thanks for today.